Hello everybody, this is Maniac for Bricks, and I'm here today with the LEGO Batman Bat Signal. This is a Toys R Us building event from October 18th, 2014. It contains 19 pieces, no minifigures, and depending on the location, you were either given all the pieces inside of the bag, or you had to, sometimes they gave you the bag, the instructions, and the comic, and then you had to wait online in order to get the pieces from individual boxes. This is a free building event on Saturday, October 18th, 2014. And obviously this would be under the umbrella of superhero items, especially from the DC Universe. So let's take a closer look at what we have. The back portion, we're going to talk about this later, as it's a little more extensive than the build itself. The instructions are on one page and only one side of the page, as you can see there. And it's a very simple build for assembling this little bat signal, but it seems like a very effective build. I'll give you a closer look at the parts so that in case you didn't attend the event, you will get to see how this thing is built. Most of the pieces are common ones, with the exception of about 2 or 3 of them. The bat printed dish piece is probably the most rare of them, as it has been found in very few Batman sets in the past, including some previous Batcaves and a LEGO Batman the board game, in fact. The R2-D2 legs in black are somewhat rare, as they are included with very few Star Wars figures and very few other things outside of the figures. If you have the pieces for the turntable, then you should be fine. But I think the little bit harder to find one is the black round plate. So now we'll take a look at the model itself. This is very simply the Bat Signal, a very iconic part of Batman, and I think it was a very nice build. This is something that has appeared throughout other sets, especially, like I said, in the Batcave, and is actually looking nicer to have as a separate item. This Bat Signal is able to turn around in 360 degrees. It also can tilt and all the way around. So you could have it positioned in any angle to call on Gotham's favorite superhero. Now, in comparison to a minifigure, I think it stacks up pretty well. Comparing it to the way it's been shown in other Batman media, such as movies, video games, or even comics and TV shows, it seems like an appropriate size for a Bat Signal. It's not something that's mini-scale as other LEGO Toys R Us building events have been, but it's fairly minifigure sized. Batman, I'm right here. So now we'll take a look at the other part that was included with the Bat Signal. So here we have the special Batman comic book that is included with today's build. And in case you're wondering, there may be extras available at your Toys R Us stores, whether for the comic book or for the Batman Signal. So check with your stores for more details, if they have extras. Now, the first thing I wanted to bring my attention to was the cover. It all folds out with the inside cover to make this large picture. It kind of reminds me of some of the older Brickmaster magazines. So on the left, we get to see a lot of our DC superheroes rushing towards Batman in the center. And then on the right, we get to see a large gallery of Batman's villains. You could probably name both of those superheroes and supervillains just by looking at it. We also have a 75 that's included in the bottom corner to signify the 75th anniversary of Batman. On the back of those covers, we have this large color version of more DC superheroes, some shown from earlier, and even more DC villains. That all folds up inside of here. And it appears like that. That is how the back page looks. Next, we get to see the editors and the team that designed this comic book. Paul Lee, the artist, and Rachel LaRue, I apologize if I mispronounce those, the writer, are signified by their, kind of computer art designed minifigures, as if they were, adapted from their real life persona. I also noticed some other credit in here, especially Gregory Farshti, who I remember was a big comic writer for LEGO, especially for Bionicle, and also wrote many of the Bionicle books. The comics inside of this book are very simple. These are all ones that we've found through the LEGO Club magazine. So if you've been receiving the LEGO Club magazine for pretty much the past year, you'll be able to find these comics somewhere in there. Although you get them all stringed together in a cohesive storyline. So it kind of ties all of these villains and actions together. It makes it interesting, but it's not something I've actually read through entirely, and probably won't read through much, but for a kid, this might be a pretty cool comic to read. I can remember distinctly some of these images from the LEGO Club magazine, and there are some in here that have been added for the purposes of keeping the comic connected, to put all the storylines together. It even introduces some characters that haven't been made in LEGO form, or haven't been made yet in LEGO form. We have one of them, Mr. Scarface, shown up here, as an example. We have Power Armor Lex up there. And we're almost done with this. But there's a lot of comic book writing and illustration, which I think looks pretty good. I like the way that everything is drawn up, and they even have some background details made in LEGO-like form. Now we got a whole slew of the LEGO Justice League. The next page shows you something very interesting, and I think this is pretty cool considering the 75th anniversary of Batman. This is a rendition in LEGO form of the original Detective Comics number 27. This is a significant comic because this was the first appearance of Batman, or known then as The Batman, in the comics series. If you give me a moment, I'll just pull up the image, which you can easily find multiple images of the original comic on Google. A simple image search will show the original comic, which has, quote-unquote, 64 pages of action. It was released in May of 1939, aka 75 years ago today, and it says, starring this issue, The Amazing and Unique Adventures of the Batman, just as it says there. This one is more the concept art for the final product, shown on the right. And it's really nicely done, and very accurate in details. Everything to the colors, the character designs, and all the buildings in the background. It's slightly off, but it's pretty recognizable just between the two if you compare them. They don't show 64 pages of action. Instead, it's 75 years of action, since it's the anniversary type. It does not have the original date up here. But I do like how they have things such as the 10 cents, number 27, and Detective Comics. Very nice rendition indeed. And that's just the one page. Next page, we get to see the motivational posters from LEGO, and these have been made throughout the year. We've seen a whole bunch of them through social media, such as Facebook, Flickr, or Instagram. And they only just show you 2 that are inside of this comic book. You're probably familiar with those. So overall, I really like this building event. I thought it was a really great thing that we get this extra comic book to show more action and more exciting images of LEGO Batman, as well as other DC superheroes. The build itself was a pretty cool one. Unique pieces, and just seems like something functional and useful. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope I didn't carry on too long about it. But thank you again for watching, and we will see you next time with more LEGO videos.